Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. This is yet another Ask Trina Anything. We're going live over the Hope for the Flowers Revolution Facebook page as well as over the YouTube channel. And we're delighted that you're joining us, whether it is live or taped. And this is a very special presentation because today is unlike many others. But first of all, I'd like to introduce you to Trina Paulus, who's author of Hope for the Flowers. We had a very interesting chat during the green room prior to going live. And in fact, I think we might have even gotten on the air a minute late because we were so engrossed in what we're talking about. You've had a very interesting week, haven't you? Can you tell us a little bit more about it, please?
I've been very much involved with Korea and Japan this week, and this is the week of memorial of the Hiroshima, which was the 6th, and it's the 7th, and the way that they count time, and then we have Nagasaki on the 9th. So this is the week of thinking about the nuclear issue, and now we have the new movie out, Oppenheimer, which is making a lot of people think about this that hasn't been thought about so much. And so I feel very honored to have been asked by Korea because of their love of Hope for the Flowers, actually, that it was in the school system over there, that they asked me to say something. So I made 2 tapes for them. And if you're interested, you can contact me on my Hope for the Flowers site, and I can send you the links. And we did one of them last week on this show, the short one, of contaminated, irradiated wastewater from the Fukushima meltdowns that happened 22 years ago. The water has been continually leaking, the radioactive water, because once there's a meltdown, you have to keep it full of water, cooled water, and keeping them cooled for over a century. So now they say that they've made it much cleaner, and except for tritium, it's safe now to release into the Pacific, and they're planning to start this big release this month. So the people in in Korea, the activists there have sent out a lot of information about it and are asking people to get in touch with them. So this is a time to think about it a lot. I was 15 when it happened, and now it's 78 years later. My goodness. And we still are doing this, and we're playing games again with the big powers sort of baiting each other with submarines with all these missiles in them, and it's just it's playing with death, and not just death for those countries, because once one goes off, more will go off, and we'll have what they call nuclear winter. Now, people aren't thinking much about it. I haven't heard this talked about very much in recent years, but nuclear winter means the sun won't shine because of the cover of what happens. It's like a volcano eruption, but worse, and it can go on for years, and all life can die. We can create our own extinction of life. And to me, it's very much like people wanting to be God, and then the other side is surrendering to the divine and the call of love. And the theme that I hope to live by, and I started to word it like radical sharing, freely given. So a sharing that goes to love that's absolute and lifelong, and with everybody, and not making judgments about people. Of course, we have to decide if we're going to embrace their positions on things. And we have to elect, we have to vote, but making the judgments, that really belongs to God, in my opinion. So we don't have to make that judgment about the person. And so if we only radically share it with love and freely given that, and not end up with the forced thing of some of the really strong pushes of capitalism that wants the new reset to control everything in one way or another, and control of our money and control of our food and control of our health system by one world order. Even though we are one world, that's just so dangerous. And so we also don't want it to come from a forced kind of system that's really a similar thing that the bad experiments with the communism have done. So it's we have to choose another ground. That doesn't mean it's a middle ground of namby-pambiness. It's a middle ground of radical love, radical sharing, which is pretty extreme.
Well, a lot of people seem to be pretty discontent, and I think that's one thing that we might have all in common. Is that people are looking around and seeing that, well, whatever has happened and whatever direction that we're going into doesn't just seem to be sustainable, or people just don't quite like where we are now and where we think we're going. But then, if you don't like that, then what? If not this, then what? And that's the question that I think you're trying to answer, isn't it,
Well, it's
Trina?
the question we're all trying to answer in a way. Technology is putting out, uh, new things like chat,
Oh, the
AI.
artificial intelligence.
Yes, and we are playing with the weather. You know that, don't you? You know that we're seeding the clouds with chemtrails. We're seeding it with aluminum. When it falls to the ground, it makes the soil all toxic and is bad for us. What we're doing is, and and there's really a lot of what I call greenwashing around, but you have to be pretty well into the areas to recognize it. It's not. It sounds so good when people say it, like to get rid of all the meat in the world, all the meat production, all the chickens in the backyards, so that we don't have any more global warming. And then we use genetically engineered stuff and make our soil so bad that it won't sequester any carbon. By the way, organic gardening, organic farming is the best sequestration of carbon dioxide there is. And it's so brilliant that God's designed it. It goes into the soil, and then when the new plants need it, they have it there in the soil to use. And artificial fertilizers and artificial everything in the ag way of doing things is the big machines. They still use fossil fuel. They use fossil fuel also to take. Do you know that fossil fuel is what they use to produce pesticides and fertilizers as well? So it doesn't help us really with the whole global warming thing. We have to turn to the earth and the wisdom that's in the earth and learn how to. We are part of the earth and recognize that we're part of the earth and we have to work with it. And so there we are with
Yeah.
returning to the earth, and that's the secret. And that's how we say get rid of these bombs completely and side with the people of Korea and Japan, not to dump all this huge waste in. And we have to get we have to compel our governments not to not support this either and to fight against it. Because if we let Japan do this right now, it's not just Japan; it's the precedent we're setting. That means that everybody with a nuclear problem can dump their wastewater in the ocean. And like Connecticut has already said no to the Shoreham plant, which has been closed for some time. They want to dump all that wastewater into the bay right off of New York and Connecticut. And they said no. Bravo for them. So we have to support these brave people who are really fighting these things on the front lines of stuff.
People who are familiar with you, people who are familiar with Hope for the Flowers and the message that it has, um, will recognize what you're saying, Trina, and you were asked to comment on and lend your support to this organization, this civic organization in Korea, because they saw one specific thing that was a potentially a large crisis, both because the dumping of this water into the ocean was bad on itself. And then, as you've said, that just normalizes that or sets a precedent. And that just leads to maybe a last point, and that is that we're in the process of creating a real community for Hope for the Flowers. And right now, we think that the Facebook group, Hope for the Flowers Revolution, is the way to go. And it's because It's not what we do alone. It is what we do alone, but it's also what we do as a group. And if people want to get organized, if they want to get more involved, you are more than welcome to sign up. And you can do that through, first of all, visiting hopefortheflowers.com and scroll down, and you'll see instructions on how to do that. And then connect with us and let us know what you're thinking.
And if you have special skills that you can think of to get these messages out, let us know. I don't know how we organize that right now. I don't have a big plan, but we certainly do need some help here. And it's hard to know how to handle it. I certainly can't do it myself. So I count on people like Scott and my friend Marisol to help do this kind of stuff because it's beyond me. And I just want to remind us, we can't eat the superhighway. We can't eat the internet. So one of the things you can start with is learn how to sprout and how to grow your own food. That's a good place to start if you have the possibility. And even in a house, you can sprout. And that gives you good organic food immediately
Absolutely.
in a week. And are we close to ending here, Scott?
Well, as a matter of fact, according to my calculations, we're right at 14 minutes and 39 seconds, and this is a 15-minute show.
Okay,
So,
well then let me end again with that Tagore quote that I find so
yes,
beautiful.
please.
Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings while the dawn is still dark. I find that very encouraging and hopeful, and I'm very grateful for you to come today. And we'll see what we can make of this series. We're still experimenting. We really don't know exactly where we're going and what we want to do. But this is one thing. And today I talked about the other side of my life that is part of Hope for the Flowers for me, but different.